Hey guys, welcome back to another Twin Flame vlog. My Twin Flame story week by week. I believe this is vlog number 13. You guys know who I am. I don't have to tell you by now. I'm here with my Grogu travel tumbler, and I have some green tea antioxidants, I guess, in my tumbler, in my Grogu tumbler. And I'm here to just talk about my twin flame journey, to talk about my reflections and discoveries, and maybe some channel news as well, which I'll get to toward the end of the vlog. But I am here in my living room with the fireplace. You can kind of see it. There you go. Fireplace on the TV. It's funny because I just hung this picture and I didn't know if you guys would be able to see it on camera, but it is over my left shoulder. It would be to your right. I'm going to try to just scroll it up a little bit to see this right here. It's this like beautiful portrait of a loving couple. And that was the only thing that I was able to really recuperate or take from my father's house. That picture of the lovers, I'm going to call it the lovers, that picture of the lovers was hanging in my childhood home, my fatherly childhood home. My parents divorced when I was 5. So it was odd because I had totally forgotten about that painting. And when I went down into the basement at my dad's current home, the one he shared with his newer wife, that painting was down in the basement and just kind of leaned up against a wall. And when I saw it, my heart stopped because I was like, oh my God, that was a painting that was hanging in my childhood home, like while I was growing up the entire time. And I think my dad always kept it in the foyer, the foyer, I called the foyer, or in the entry hall of the house. And it was always there ever since I can remember. So when I saw it, I was like, I need to take that because that is something that's very reminiscent of my childhood. So now it is hanging in my living room. And I really like it there, and it does feel like home. And it's just it's interesting, like when a parent passes away, like it's interesting what you gravitate toward. Like I really didn't care about pretty much anything else. Like there was like one thing that I wanted that I wasn't able to locate, but I located the painting instead. So I took that one. And of course, photos from my dad and our childhood and all that. So my twin flame story week by week, what has been happening? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. Click on the bell so you can get notifications of all the new and upcoming videos that happen on my channel. And if you get annoyed because now I'm uploading a lot more, you can just ignore the emails from YouTube. Just like any other annoying email that we tend to get all the time, right? From many different sources. So yeah, and I don't even think for my favorite YouTubers, I do have the notification bell on. I don't even think I get email notifications of any of my favorite YouTubers, which is really odd. I don't know why. I get notifications for my channel, but I don't get notifications for my YouTubers that I watch on a regular basis, which is really weird because you would think you would, right? You think you would get those notifications, but I just don't. I don't get those emails. Something weird happening with YouTube land. Anyway, just a quick update, and then I'll go into my thoughts, my thoughts for the week on my twin flame journey, and interesting thoughts. I will share them with you. I'm going to call this video Emotion Over Logic, and you will see why that I'm naming the video this in a few minutes. Today, when I'm recording this, it is April 12th, 2022. Neptune and Jupiter are conjunct in Pisces, which apparently is an auspicious day. It's an auspicious day today. And I believe Venus is Venus is in Pisces too. So we've got 3 benefic, rather benefic. Neptune's not always considered benefic, but it's not malefic planets in Pisces deep emotions, right? Deep emotions, endings and beginnings, those kind of things. Taking a sip of my green tea here. And as of this day of the recording, April 12th, 2022, I have not been in contact with my twin flame for almost 2 months. I think the last time we were in contact was February 16th, I believe. So yeah, it's been nearly 2 months. You know, it's funny because yesterday I did a premiere, and I don't often do premieres. I gotta do premieres more often. I've just been so focused on bettering the content that I put on the channel, bettering the channel, making it more prevalent and updated and consistent for you guys. So it's like sometimes I remember to do premieres, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just can't sit through a premiere because I post the video and then I've got like 15 other things that I'm doing in my day. So I can't always sit through the premieres, and I don't have a moderator. So, but it was interesting because yesterday for the Twin Flame Tarot reading weekly, I did the premiere, and the only person I actually chatted with was a username, Laura Sparkles. Hey, shout out to @Laura Sparkles on YouTube. I was chatting with Laura Sparkles, and she said that she had like this grand reunion with her twin flame, and it was just like amazing. And she said it was like magical. And I had asked her how long they had been in separation. She said, well, this time around 11 months. She said, but we met in September of 2018, just like you and your twin flame, if I remember correctly. And I was like, oh, well, maybe that's a good sign for me. Right? Maybe that's a good sign that this time around when my twin flame comes back into the picture, that it'll be more permanent. So we shall see about that. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts of what was in my brain. And like, you know, it's funny because Pisces is good for that. And I know we're in Aries season. I totally get it. I get that we're in Aries season, but Venus in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Pisces, there's a lot of dreaming and reflection going on. There's a lot of daydreaming and reflection going on. There's a lot of night dreaming and reflection going on, because that's what Neptune does. And, you know, Venus is about romance and good things and, you know, like benefic things happening in your life, money, romance, prettiness, right? Whether it's decorating your home or buying a new home or whatever. And Neptune is about no boundaries. Like there's no boundaries. It's boundless, spaceless, timeless. You know, you move into dream state very easily with Neptune, and Jupiter is expansion. So I was talking with a friend. Oh, and before I say this, I just want to like throw it out there. Like, honestly, I don't really care, but I just want to throw it out there that when I share the vlogs with you, when I share my twin flame story with you, when I share stuff that has been in my brain with you guys, it's just to share, just like a friend over a cup of tea. It's nothing more and it's nothing less than that, right? It's nothing more than a friend sharing a story over a cup of tea. A friend sharing thoughts over a cup of tea. It's no more, no less than that. I don't look at it as anything more and anything less. Because there are some people out there that have what I used to call like the savior complex, the rescue complex that I used to have with romantic relationships. And so often with vlogs, I'll see like psychologists or amateur psychologists making comments trying to psychotherapize me. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really the point of the vlogs. Like, I'm not asking for psychotherapy. I have been in psychotherapy in the past at different stages of my life, and I see the benefits in that, but that's not what this is. This is just like me sharing stories with you over a cup of tea, just to hang out and say, hey, this is not something that I get to do with you guys on a regular basis, unless you are in my group coaching, but there's a very small core group in my group coaching right now. Those are the only people that get the one-on-one time with me. If you're doing a reading, it's totally different because it's all you focused. When you get a reading with me one-on-one, it's just you. I'm focusing 100% on you. So it's all about you, and that's the way it should be if you're paying for a reading. But the coaching is a little bit different. It's a little bit of give and take. It's a little bit of sharing. One of my other coaching clients, she's like, yeah, it's like a big pajama party over Zoom. So yeah, so this is just to share, and it's like literally look at it as if I were in your home and we're having a cup of Java or having a cup of tea, and I'm just like, yeah, this is what's been in my mind. And then you do the same. So on Sunday morning, I had one of my besties text me, and I don't know why she texted me this at it was like at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. And she was saying like, I'm going to make my list and manifest my person, like my perfect person, the one that I want to manifest into my life. I'm going to make my list this morning. And I just thought it was so funny that she just texted me that like Sunday morning at like 7:30. And so it reminded me of me doing this many, many times throughout my existence and creating that intentions and desires list for the partner that I would like to attract into my life. And so I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I was like, yeah, it really sucks because for me, I've been so blinded in love that I would create these amazing lists. And it wasn't to be nitpicky at all. It was more to be mindful. Now, maybe in my 20s, the list was very superficial and nitpicky and more focused on the physical, more focused on, oh, the dude must look like this and have these features and all that. Well, that's very nice. I would like that. But I think as I got older, and especially after my divorce, because of course I was married to the same person for a really long time. But after I got my divorce, I would make these intentions and desires lists that were based on more real stuff. And unfortunately, I did not listen to myself. So I was really like in the past, this has been kind of an on again, off again conversation with myself in the past like 1.5 to 2 years. And one of the conversations with myself is like, why have I not followed through on like the things that I need in a relationship that are like real for me? And if I ignore them in the beginning of a relationship, then it's not going to go away. They're not going to go away. So just for you guys, no, this was actually for me. But yes, I did make a list. And okay, so the reason I'm calling this emotion over logic is because I'm an INFJ. So if you don't know anything about the 16 personalities or the Myers-Briggs or something like that, I'm not sponsored by anything. So I can say whatever this is. But one of my favorite 16 personalities people, his name is FJ, Frank James. Check out his channel. He's amazing. He's so funny. He does comedy sketches now. He used to do more vlog-like style when he started, but he does mostly comedy sketches now. But he had mentioned, I think he was sponsored by something called the Clover app. I think it's called Clover. And I retook the Myers-Briggs test. I had taken the original like a few times, always came out as an INFJ. I retook it like a year ago through that Clover app. I still came out as an INFJ. I don't think the 16personalities.com test is accurate at all. I think I came out with 2 different types. Like, I don't even know. Maybe ENFJ, maybe something else. Like something totally different that I've never tested to, but I'm pretty darn sure I'm an INFJ. So the problem with intuitive feelers, so INFJs or NF types, here's the problem with NF types. If you're an NF type, you could be an INFP, an ENFP, INFJ, ENFJ. The problem with NF types is that they rely mostly on their intuition and feeling, especially when meeting a new person. And for all intents and purposes, the logic is just thrown out the door. And it's funny because about 5 months ago, not less than that, it was right around the time my dad died. So yeah, I guess it was 5 months ago. I was having brunch with this guy friend who's a lot younger, but very intuitive, like very smart, really intuitive. And he was saying, like, I can't even, he's an INFP. And he said, I can't even trust my judgment on women anymore, because when I go with my intuitive feelings, when I go with my feelings, my intuitive feelings, it always goes tremendously wrong in the relationships. It's always like the relationship is a disaster. And, that got me thinking back at that time. And then it got me thinking about my love life and my past loves and my past relationships. And I think it has a lot to do with that NF piece in the personality type. The intuitive feelers are going to go with intuition and feeling above all else. They're not going to move into logic very frequently, and they're going to stick with their intuition and feeling. And that can be a sticky wicket. That can be a problem, because if you're like, this feels right, I know this is right, this is my intuition telling me this is right, and you ignore the logic completely, then you're ignoring all the red flags. And so when I really thought back to all of my romantic relationships, I'm going to tell you this straight up, twin flame included, right? That's a totally different thing. But still, at the time, twin flame included, I was ignoring every single solitary red flag that was there, because I weighed too heavily. I always weighed too heavily on the intuition and feeling, and like zero on the logic. And you actually have to rely a little bit on logic. You can't be 100% logic, nothing feeling and intuitive, but there has to be some middle ground. And I never have had that middle ground ever in relationships, never in the romantic sense, ever. And so when I really got to think of it, and I made I remade a list, because I'm like, what would be my deal breakers? Like, what would be and I kind of know what my deal breakers are. I just never listened to it in the past, because I would make the list and then I would meet someone, and then I would get that feeling and have this intuition about, oh, I need to see this person. I need to go out with this person. And then there's an author, her name is Shar Margolis, and she wrote a book called Love Karma. It's way back. This is probably like 2012, 2013. I say way back. That wasn't very long ago, but I guess in the book world, that was kind of long ago. And she basically said about women, because we're addicted to the oxytocin of having sex with a guy, that we have that bonding chemical that just goes rampant. It goes crazy. That once we have sex with a guy, like, it's all over, like all logic thrown out the door. Now, if you're starting out as an NF type with no logic in the picture, or very little logic in the picture, and then you have sex with a person, then everything's thrown out the door, because then you're hooked chemically to this person, and also you're not using your logical mind. So those were my thoughts. That's what's happening in my brain these days. And so that led me to creating this list where and I'll share a few of them with you. And I'll tell you like how I threw those things out the window. Didn't even listen to myself. Now, I wouldn't do that anymore. Like, I wouldn't do that now, because I'm like, okay, why? Because I've seen the patterns of problems that they create if you ignore them. Because just because you're going with intuition and feeling, your logic is being thrown out the door. It doesn't mean that the things that are deal breakers are any less of a deal breaker for you. It's just delaying the process, if that makes sense. So, I mean, the biggie for me is free from addictions. and I put alcohol, any type of drugs, cigarettes, vaping, porn, sex, gambling, sex addiction, of course, right? Um, yeah, I had many relationships where addiction was an issue. Now, to be completely fair, sometimes you don't know until things are well underway. Like sometimes you just don't know. There are people that conceal addictions well. They hide them, they delay them around you so that you don't really see it. I had a boyfriend in 2008 to 2012 who was really addicted to prescription pills, not painkillers, but like anti-anxiety medications, like benzodiazepines. I think he was very addicted, like to the ones that, he would be like popping tons of those pills. And again, I didn't have the knowledge to know that those were addictive substances because he blamed it on his anxiety. But then like some of the behavior was like very addictive behavior. So I didn't recognize it until like it was years into it that I recognized it as like, oh, this could be a serious problem. I didn't know this could be a serious problem, but apparently it can, So but no, and then like of course getting into the relationship with the alcoholic and then like dating another alcoholic, which, he wasn't as far gone as the first alcoholic I dated, but it was going in that direction. So just ignoring addictions, ignoring that and going like, oh, I guess this could get sorted out. I guess this would be okay. And it's absolutely a deal breaker for me. So that's like not listening to the logic, going to the intuition and feeling. Wow. Okay. This one is long. He shows up for me. He understands the importance of quality time in a relationship and makes me and us a top priority in his life. We respect each other's needs to have alone time and to be with friends and family, but our relationship comes first after God. Okay, so I was in a marriage where the relationship was not a priority at all. For the person I was married to, that work was a top priority, and also gaming was a second priority. So I certainly know what it's like to not be a priority in a relationship. But that being said, I couldn't articulate it and didn't articulate it. So in my 2 longer term relationships, the relationship itself was not a priority. There were other things in the way. It like I said, it delayed the inevitable, right? The inevitable was like, it was never going to work because the relationship was not a priority. So let's see. Let me pick one more to give to you guys so I can, so I think this is really important for me. This is definitely a deal breaker. He is truthful by nature. He doesn't feel like he has to lie to please others. He doesn't believe in lying by omission. He is honest with himself and honest with others. Okay, let me tell you this right now. I have never been with anyone who's been honest. And I know that's like a tall order. Like if you really think about it, that's a tall order. Now I'm not talking about like sometimes people tell white lies, to protect other people, protect themselves, or for social politeness, right? So that's not what I'm speaking about. What I'm speaking about is someone who cannot be honest with themselves, or someone who feels like they need to morph and change, like a people pleaser, right? That they need to morph and change into being someone who they are not, albeit lie, in order to make others feel happy and comfortable. So, like for example, if your partner like says like, oh yeah, I really love romantic comedies. And you say, yeah, I love romantic comedies. And then they go to romantic comedies with you. And then like 1 year into the relationship, they stop going to see romantic comedies with you. And you're like, well, why are you stopping? And they're like, oh, I actually hate them. But they told you they loved them for the first year because they wanted to please you. But they couldn't be honest up front and just say like, oh yeah, I don't like that type of movie. So, I mean, that's really harmful to your relationship because you're not showing your authentic self. You're showing the self that you think that the other person wants to see. So that is like a super important thing. That's like a total deal breaker for me. And again, going with intuition and feeling versus logic is that when I have seen that behavior, I have not red flagged it because I was like, oh, they're lying to this person or they're lying to that person. I did not red flag it as, yeah, a person who feels that they need to lie all the time is just, they're eventually going to lie to you because they're just not going to be honest about anything because they're living in an alternate reality. And that alternate reality is not based on authenticity. Yeah, so it's just like super interesting. And like the reason that I am sharing this with you guys today is because the same things that show up in other relationships are going to tend to show up in your twin flame connection. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is that some of the things that were total deal breakers for me actually did show up in the twin flame connection. And because this person is my twin flame, I gave him hall passes. I gave him many hall passes because he is my twin flame. And I think the biggest thing that has changed for me in the course of the past year or so is that like the deal breakers that would be deal breakers for anyone else are still deal breakers for a twin flame, for me personally, for my twin flame, because if the behavior of something that is intolerable for me is still there, if that behavior is still there, then it's not going to work in the long term. Like the relationship itself will not work, right? So let's say you have, like I have, right? Like a no cheating policy, right? The person must be faithful. They can't just be like sleeping with other people, cheating around, like if that is one of your things and that is a deal breaker for you, twin flame or not, if your twin flame comes back to you and they fully intend to cheat and they fully intend to just sleep around with other people and you are not okay with that, you do realize that's not going to work in the long term. But if that person, if your twin flame changes that behavior, meaning like they recognize it and they become more awakened and they realize like, oh, this is not great behavior. I need to transform. I need to change this. I need to learn to be faithful and appreciate what I have in front of me. So when they do that, then there's an opportunity for that relationship to grow and be long-term. So it was like a real big eye-opener for me. And I realized, wow, when my twin flame and I come back into some sort of 3D connection, 3D union, there are going to be a few things to talk about for sure. Like there will be a few things to talk about for sure, because I can already see like several of these. I mean, I think I counted. I think I have something like 14 deal breakers. The rest are like, it could be a deal breaker. It might not be, that kind of thing. But I had like 14 deal breakers. And when I really I dug deep and I really dug deep and I said, is this truthfully a deal breaker or not? Like, is it something that would not work in the long term? And for those 14, it was like, yeah, absolutely. Like I've seen this firsthand. So for example, like one of the number one, they're not in any order, but like the first one I put was like generous and kind with me and with other people, generous with time and money. So the last person I dated for about 5.5 months, this was the one big thing that there were other things, but this is the one big thing that turned me completely off to that relationship, is that he was not generous with his time and money. He was a little bit generous with time to me, but not money at all. Like, I made the comment that he never even bought me a cup of coffee. Like, everything was divided 50-50 all the time. So, but he was never generous with other people either. So, and that was just his personality. That was his personality type. Like, he blamed it on his generation, like he's a millennial, but I think that was a scapegoat, right? That was like a huge thing, is like, it's really important for me to have someone who is generous and kind with their time and money. When you think about you and your twin flame coming back into reunion, if you are, especially if you're an NF type, if you are an intuitive feeler like me, it's really good to go over those deal breakers and go, what is the most essential component for me, or components plural, for me to have a successful relationship, a successful romantic partnership? Because what I have discovered in my past is, like, I could patch together a relationship even though there were some deal breakers that were still there. But again, what is the longevity of that? It's not going to last, because inevitably those things are going to keep surfacing. They're going to keep coming up to the surface. They're not just going to go away. And then you're going to be unhappy, and they're going to be unhappy, and it's just going to be a disaster. So yeah, so that was my big discovery this week. So let's go to real quick before I sign off, because I know this vlog has been super long. Let's go to channel news. So as you have seen, I started posting daily videos, daily inspiration videos, just pull a card a day for you guys. That's been going okay, sorta, kind of, sorta. I've been also doing the nightly inspiration bedtime videos, which I really like. The meditation videos, they're kind of like 5 minutes of mindfulness and a mindfulness message. The audience in YouTube, not so much. Not so much. And I would say, I wouldn't be concerned with that too much, with the exception that it really pulls down my numbers on YouTube, and I'm trying to grow my channel and expose it to more twin flames and not less twin flames, right? I want to help more people in the community and not less people in the community. And for some odd reason, the bedtime inspiration, while I enjoy them, I thoroughly enjoy doing them, I think it's super valuable, it's not valuable to the community, apparently. Or it's valuable to about 50 of you guys, maybe 40 to 50. But when YouTube is looking at the numbers, the algorithm, who's viewing the channel, it's like bringing the entire thing down. And I don't think that's good for exposure to the twin flame community. So I began to think, what do I gravitate toward on my YouTube homepage? When you go to your YouTube homepage and you have the whole homepage with like recommended videos like in front of your face. One of the things that my eyes will go directly toward are divine masculine messages from another channel, right? Like, and it's usually someone who I actually like her messages. She does really long messages, but it's more like the pick a pile message, whatever. But she does type, I don't know that she calls it divine masculine messages. It's kind of like, what is he thinking? What is he feeling, or whatever. Those are kind of the messages that my eyeballs will gravitate toward, and I'll be like, oh, what is he thinking? And so I got the idea. I said, well, I'm a twin flame, right? So if my eyes are gravitating toward like DM messages when I'm on my YouTube homepage, I'm guessing that there's a lot of you out there that are also gravitating toward that. So I thought, okay, well, maybe instead of doing the bedtime inspiration messages, maybe I will do a nighttime divine masculine message quick read, right? We're talking like a 2 to 3-minute video, just like the morning ones. And maybe that'll just be like nice encouragement before you go to bed, just like kind of getting what's in DM's headspace, heart space. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. All of these things are trial and error. You understand that. I'm not doing it so much for the numbers as much as I'm doing it to like provide like helpful information that will be consistent and to serve. And the only reason numbers do count is because I want to touch as many people as possible as I possibly can. And the reason I also say that, because honestly, like, I think I've gotten to the point where it's just like, oh, okay, I'll post something, big deal. Whoever sees it, sees it. Whoever doesn't see it, doesn't see it. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But about a week and a half ago, YouTube organically gave me a bump up. Like they showed the videos, and this is why it's algorithm related. It's totally algorithm related. They just showed my videos to a bunch of people one day. So it was like 24 hours. And so like I got a bump up of, I don't know, let's say 5,000 views in one day, which is a lot higher than normal. So there were some people apparently who like wrote me comments who said, oh, wow, I thought you left YouTube because I haven't seen any of your videos in like a year or two. And I was like, no, I've always been here. So that's 100% algorithm based, right? It's what YouTube chooses to show. The second thing I heard was during that bump up was, oh, you have awesome twin flame messages. This is something I've really been looking for. Why have I never seen your channel before? So there are clearly twin flames out there who need the messages that I happen to bring, but they're just not seeing them. So if I continue to produce like the bedtime inspiration, which YouTube is not showing at all, and it's only getting like 40, 50 views a day, it's just going to discourage YouTube from actually showing any of my other videos. So that's what I'm going to do. It's an experiment, right? We're going to experiment with this to try to get twin flame guidance out to as many twin flames as possible. And just like with anything, if the messages resonate with a person, so if my messages that I give out on this channel resonate with certain people, they will subscribe, they will click on the video, whatever. And if the message doesn't resonate, they won't. So, but the availability does need to be there, right? Like YouTube has to recommend something. Otherwise, it's like, So that's what's happening over here. So I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for subscribing to my channel below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with other twin flames. And thanks so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. You can join a boot camp or meditation course. You can also join my group coaching. The link is below. And I will see you. Let's do this. I'll see you in the next video.